I'm already a millionaire in my mind. I don't see it yet, but I believe it now. In the same way a seed is called by its finished form, I'm accepting my divine inheritance as a child of God. I'm meant to have life and have it more abundantly. My treasure on earth shall correspond directly to the treasure in the heaven of my mind. Abundance is my birthright. Ashe, amen, and so it is. My name is Julian Gordon, and I'm author of Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. After becoming a multimillionaire through real estate investing, I was moved by God at the beginning of the pandemic to share my money mindset that allowed me to quit my job in January of 2009 at the bottom of the last recession and achieve full financial freedom. I own my mental real estate before I own any physical real estate. This book is like some of your favorites: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, and the Bible all in one. But the divine downloads and thoughts that are in here are 100% original and came for a 6-month period at the beginning of the pandemic. This book is normally $100 on Amazon if you went there right now, but I want to give you access to it for free by inviting you to our next reading group. Yes, the reading group is 100% free. Every weekday for 100 days straight, I'll be reading and discussing the 10 money commandments in the book that make money come to you in your life easily, more frequently, and abundantly. And it will take about 30 to 45 minutes as we read 3 to 5 pages per day until we finish the book and reprogram your mind around money. Why 100 days? Well, if you are 30 years old, you've lived for 10,950 days. And we have to deprogram and reprogram the negative, scarcity-based money mindset society has taught you. And I believe I can do that in just 1% of the time in about 100 days. I'm done with shelf help. You know, when you buy a book to change your life, but you never read it, it just sits on your bookshelf and collects a whole bunch of dust. We off that. When is the last time you had an author actually read their book to you out loud because they cared about you getting the information in your soul? I'm not just here to get this book in your hands. More importantly, I want to get it in your head and your heart, because that's where the real transformation occurs, in the conscious and the subconscious mind. As scripture says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is not the type of book that you just read once. To renew the subconscious mind requires repetition over and over and over. So if you joined us last time, I encourage you to join us again. I myself have read this book over 10 times already. So click the link to join our next reading group, and when you sign up, I'm going to give you the first 2 chapters of the book for absolutely free on what is money and abundance is your birthright, so that you can start your journey to a more abundant life today.
What's good, everybody? This is your boy Thavian coming back at you with another day of the reading of the Rich and Righteous. So happy to have you here. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad you're here. We are still disciplined and committed to finishing this 100-day challenge of the reading of the Rich and Righteous. We're on day 27, baby. Day 27. And we're also starting a new money commandment. For those that are new, there are 10 money commandments. We are now on money commandment number 6, how the rich and righteous hold money. We just finished commandment number 5, how the rich and righteous ask for money. Now we're on money commandment number 6, how the rich and righteous hold money. Once we get started with this reading, man, make sure you're paying attention, following along, dissecting those gems. Keep in mind, this 100-day challenge is all about reprogramming your mind to attract more money, spiritually, physically, professionally, financially. This book is full of those gems and allegories that are going to help you move the needle to spiritual manifestation. Day 27, baby. Make sure you're paying attention, because at the end of the reading, I need y'all documenting those takeaways on the comment section of the post. Go ahead and give me those takeaways. I need those takeaways. Those takeaways help you and they help me. Let us know what you got out of the reading. We got to get something out of the reading. That's the whole point of the challenge. But without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get day 27 started. My man Julian is going to kick it off and start reading these scriptures. And like I said, we're starting a new money commandment, how the rich and righteous hold money. And our first section is going to be possessing money without money possessing you. Possessing money without money possessing you. Let's get started.
Possess money without money possessing you. All right. So we're talking about holding money. So that's why that title is like that. Okay. So the scripture for the day is Matthew 19:24. I tell you the truth. It is hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. All right. So there's some things to point out here really quickly. First and foremost, it says it's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Does it say that it's impossible? Does it say that it's impossible? No, it's just very hard. And so we are exploring what it means to be rich and righteous. We know that Joseph of Arimathea was a rich disciple who actually asked for Jesus' body, right, and owned the land that the tomb was on. So in the Bible, he's called a rich disciple. So we know it is possible, and that is what we are seeking to become. And we are seeking to make it easier and easier so that more and more people want to be rich and righteous, right? You can have material wealth and be spiritually poor, as Matthew 19:24 suggests. Jesus was not saying that being rich is bad. This is how some ministers will try to flip the scripture, even though they're getting rich off of you. Jesus was not saying that being rich is bad. The rich man Jesus was referring to was materially rich, but he was possessed by his possessions. So if you go read that parable, you'll realize that he was possessed by his possessions. That was the issue, not the fact that he had possessions, but that he was possessed by his own possession. Therefore, it would be hard for him to enter the kingdom of heaven, which means he missed the mark, otherwise known as sin. Listen to this, family. Rich is not just having money. It is also money not having you. Rich is not just having money, it's also money not having you. Someone once said, with money, you can buy a house, but not a home. With money, you can buy a clock, but not time. With money, you can buy a bed, but not sleep. With money, you can buy a gun, but not peace. There are things that you cannot buy with material wealth. Some people are so poor, all they have is money, which is the lowest yielding asset in the entire world. They don't have any of the more valuable things that money can't buy, like love, joy, family, time, self-esteem, righteousness, peace of mind, and heaven on earth. These things have no price tag, and they actually cost you nothing. But a lot of people have bought into the program that I need to go get a lot of this and then retire, so then I can have all of these things. No, you can have all of these things right now. And in fact, when you are in the vibration of all these things, you will find that money comes to you easier, okay, and more frequently. In fact, just like not being possessed by possessions, I'm happy with my level of wealth, right? I'm grateful for it. And, you know, I lived in a tiny home. Family. I could have had the biggest home you could imagine, right? But I lived in a tiny home because I wanted to, one, have the experience of being in community in that way, right? But I also am not somebody who's possessed by their possessions. I wanted to put the abundance and the money in its place, that you don't have power over me, and that I'm really just a simple man. I'm a simple man, and I never want to be possessed by my possessions and so weighed down by my possessions. If God says go over here, I want to be able to go without having to worry about, well, God, I got to take care of this house real quick and all these cars and this and that and this and that, right? I never want to be possessed by my possessions, so I did it as an opportunity to have an experience, and I did it as a form of discipline and, in a way, fasting a little bit from possessions that I could have, but that I realized I don't really need. I'm happy with who I am. My wealth comes from within, not without. I don't have to wear my wealth outwardly in any shape or form, right? And so this is just an example, and that idea came from, seeing this people being perverted by money, right? We talked about the inverted and perverted relationship. It came from witnessing that and knowing that as my abundance was increasing, I didn't want to get caught up in that. And so I've had the experience of living in a tiny home despite having more than enough to buy the house that I desired in cash, right? So we have to put this money in place, right? We have to put it in its proper place. We are master over it. It is not master over us, all right? You can secure the bag and still be insecure. True financial security is not just having a lot of money. Many people with money are some of the most insecure. We see this often with celebrities, but celebrities are no different than anyone else. It's just that their life is on public display. A lot of people want to attack celebrities and things of that nature. Same things happen in your own life. They just happen to be on public display and in mass media, and so we come at them. But we are doing the exact same lives for those of us who are not celebrities. Many believe that external financial security will cover up or compensate for their insecurities. It does not. In fact, money can exacerbate one's insecurity. Imagine working hard all your life, thinking that money would make you happy, only there and still feel unhappy. On second thought, don't imagine that, since we know the power of our imagination. All right. Second paragraph, page 211. True financial security is knowing the true source of your wealth and how to access it on demand whenever you desire. Even if you were to lose everything for some odd reason, you may be set back, but you would know exactly how to recreate the wealth you had before and more because of your understanding of financial spirituality. As 1 Samuel 2:7 says, the Lord sends poverty and wealth. He humbles and he exalts. True wealth comes from staying tapped into a source that never taps out. True wealth comes from tapping into a source that never taps out. Everybody type I'm tapped in. Everybody type I'm tapped in. Because if you're a faucet, but you're not connected to a source, then nothing is flowing through you. You have to be connected to a source. And the most powerful source, I believe, is God itself. This keeps me humble, for I know that it is God who is exalting me, not myself. And when I exalt God, wealth is part of the package that I can do more good for God. So you know how when you get a package from an employer, when you're getting hired and they give you all these benefits and things of that nature, they might give you a signing bonus and things of that nature. When you, right, are working for God, there is a package that you get. And that package includes abundance, okay? That package includes peace of mind. That package includes love and powerful, positive relationships, okay? That is part of the package when you accept and surrender, as we talked about last week, on Thursday. That is part of the package, right? So this is why I'm employed by God, not by any company, not even the multifamily movement. I am employed by God, and I work for the entity and work with the entity called multifamily movement as its CEO. You don't work for your employer, you work with your employer. Don't say I work for General Motors. Don't say I work for Target. Don't say I work for anybody. I work with that entity, but I work for God. Okay, and God has put me in this particular position for a specific reason, for a season, for a particular reason and season, in preparation for even greater work, because I will do even greater things than these that are more in alignment with my purpose. I don't work for this company, I work with this company. Okay, there's power in our language. Third paragraph on page 211. A lot of people with material wealth continue to chase money out of fear. They may be running from childhood of poverty, or feel they got lucky based on who they were born unto. Or perhaps they got into the right industry or company at the right time, or their parents left them a significant life insurance policy, or they won the lottery or a legal case. When you're lucky, you don't know how the laws, and therefore you don't know the laws, and therefore don't know if you could replicate success if you lost it all. So there's actually insecurity in that when you got it by luck, right? You don't know if you could replicate it if you lost it all. You know that the power did not come from within you. It came from outside or around you. It came from your parents. It came from this lawsuit. It came from this, right? And so you don't know yet, if the power is in you to actually be able to create that wealth on your own. And so you still feel insecure, even though technically you have a lot. It is one thing to have acquired wealth. It's another thing to truly understand how to acquire wealth, so much so that you can replicate it if you had to start all over with nothing. You see the difference? It's a subtle difference. It's one thing to have gotten it through various means outside of you, right? because you happen to step into employment at a company that was scaling. Now, that was a good choice, right? You got equity in that company, et cetera. That was a great choice. But you know that by and large, you didn't create that wealth, right? You happen to get on the right wave. Ultimately, we want to know how to create the wave for ourselves, how to elevate our frequency so much that we are the wave. Are you with me? There's more power and security in that than happening to have caught a wave. Having it caught, what do they call it? A waterfall, right? Where you just get money out of nowhere for something that happened. Are you understanding? There's more security in the ability to create it than to just happen to catch it. When you don't understand how wealth works, that could lead to a scarcity mindset and fear of loss because you don't know your wealth's true source. Most successful people default to hard work as the reason for their wealth when they can't see the hidden mechanics and the metaphysics that resulted in their abundance. When you know the laws, you can enjoy your abundance, and your joy doesn't fluctuate up and down with the economy or your bank account, right? So in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, where he was looking at the world's most successful people and studying them, a lot of people attributed their success to just working harder than everyone else, right? He did an examination of hockey players and how many of them made it to the Hall of Fame. And when interviewing them, they would just say hard work. And hard work was kind of like this vague term that they used to say, I just worked harder than everybody else. And while they may have worked hard, what he actually found was that when he looked at the birth dates of NHL players, right, in the Hall of Fame, he found that their birth dates happened to be in 2 specific months. And those specific months were just before the age cutoff. So when they were young, right, just because their birth dates were just before the age cutoff, they would enter into, let's say, the 9 and 10-year-old group, but they would be the oldest in that group. So at that age, they had a physical superiority over the kids that were the younger in the group because there were growth spurts in that time. And therefore, because they were physically dominant over the younger people, they got tracked to be on club teams and all-star teams and et cetera, et cetera. And that was a key factor in them not only making it to the NHL, but also them making it to the Hall of Fame. Their confidence got boosted early on because they simply where their birth date was. And they did not choose their birthday. Well, spiritually, they may have chosen their birthday, but in the physical realm, they did not choose their birthday. So it was really the cutoff date that determined and had a huge impact and was a huge factor in whether or not somebody made it to the NHL, right? And if they became a Hall of Famer. How crazy is that, right? So the reason I share that is that many successful people, they default to hard work, but it's actually not hard work all the time. Hard work is not the only answer. Yes, you must work hard to make it to the NHL and to become a Hall of Famer. You must work hard. But there are other hidden factors and mechanics that we are becoming aware of as we understand what actually leads to success, right? And when people don't know how to describe those things, they just categorize it as hard work. And now you hear these people saying, I just worked harder than you. No, all of you are working hard right now. Is there one person here that's not working hard? Maybe somebody's unemployed, right? But is there anybody else besides unemployed folks or retired folks? Is there anybody here that's not working hard? You're all working hard. You're all working hard. And that's why you're here trying to figure out how to manifest and produce without working hard. You're all working hard. So hard work can't be the only answer. Okay. So that's really, really key is for us to find our security in understanding these unseen laws, and not just categorizing it as hard work. Oh, they worked hard. No, they probably understood the laws better than you, right? Warren Buffett, he has a lower tax rate than his own secretary. Why? Because he understands the tax laws better than his secretary. She has ordinary income, which gets taxed the highest level, and he has what we like to call extraordinary income, right? That gets taxed the lowest level. Capital gains, it gets taxed the lowest level. So when you understand the laws, you don't have to work as hard as somebody else to get an equal or greater result. Is this making sense? So this is where our security comes in. It's not in the acquisition, it's in the understanding of the laws and how to recreate if we must. Right? As Jay-Z said, put me anywhere on God's green earth and I'll do what? I'll triple my work. You take away my $1 billion and guess what? Because of my mind and who I am and who I know I am, I'll be able to recreate it. It may take a minute. From Marcy to Madison Square, the only thing that mattered was just a matter of years. I could probably manifest quicker now because I've elevated since I wrote that verse. Okay? Actually, I didn't write it. Jay-Z didn't write it. He downloaded, divine download. He even talks about his writing process is spiritual. Close the door and let God in. Right? Page 212, second paragraph. I'm so happy for the abundance any materially rich person has been able to manifest or was born into. We celebrate abundance in all forms. Everybody type that, because this is not about attacking or putting down, right? We celebrate. We don't hate. We celebrate. We don't hate. We celebrate. So we celebrate abundance in all forms. It just shows us that God is abundant, okay? So I'm happy for the abundance any materially rich person has been able to manifest or was born into. Even if they're born into it, I'm happy for them. You want to know why I'm happy for them, family? Because I want my daughter to be born into wealth. I may not have been born into wealth, right? But I want my daughter to be, so why would I hate? There is more than enough for us all, and someone else's having doesn't take away from anyone else's ability to have. The true power is learning how to duplicate, right? We don't want disposable income. We want what? Duplicatable income. The true power is learning how to duplicate the wealth you've already acquired on demand by understanding the invisible universal laws of financial spirituality and wealth at work. Not understanding these laws can result in a full bank account, but an empty soul, because worry and possessiveness about money can eat away at your joy internally. Most millionaires still worry about money. You heard me correctly. Most millionaires still worry about money, especially if they feel they got it by luck or by chance. They still worry about retirement, their kids' education costs, health costs, mortgages, and the rising cost of living due to inflation, just like everyone else. Real quick, family, who do you think worries more? The person who has nothing to lose or the person who has everything to lose? Just think about that. Who do you think has more worry? The person who has nothing to lose or the person who has everything to lose? I actually don't know the answer, right? It might be different types of worry, right? But if the person who has everything to lose got it and doesn't know how they got it, it wasn't through their own mind, it didn't come through them, it came from somewhere else, that's a huge responsibility. I've just been given stewardship through an inheritance or something. I've been given stewardship over this money, and I haven't elevated my level of consciousness to be able to hold this amount of money. We're in the chapter on holding, right? So there's a chance that I may blow through it. We hear about all these lotto winners that end up broke because they got a windfall, financial windfall. That's what it is, not a waterfall, a financial windfall, right? But their level of wealth consciousness hasn't elevated to be able to hold and manage and steward that amount of money. So we know that we're in the process of getting ready to be ready, so that when it comes, we are ready to receive it, hold it, and be steward of it, right? That's what we're focused on. So last paragraph. Whether we understand the unseen laws of gravity or not, it is still at work. Whether we understand the unseen law of gravity or not, it is still at work. You can't touch gravity, okay? But you can see it by the results it creates when you throw something and it eventually hits the ground. Aware of the physical law of gravity, the Wright brothers learned how to work with this unseen law by leveraging laws of aerodynamics that transcend the law of gravity. So there are laws that transcend, that circumvent lower level laws. To the degree that we understand the laws, we can make sure that they are working for us instead of against us. Actually, the law never works against us. It is indifferent. The law is indifferent. It only feels like it is against us when we are out of alignment with it. The law is never working against us. Life is never working against you. If you feel like life is working against you, it's because you're paddling upstream. You're not living in alignment with life and how it actually works. That's why you feel life is working against you. Okay? So We are here to master these unseen laws. Gravity is a law, a physical law that you can't touch physically. So we use gravity because it's one of the most common unseen laws that people understand. But if that applies to gravity, we are exploring all of these unseen laws, like the law of correspondence, right? The law of attraction. We're trying to grasp these laws and see how they actually, even though they are unseen and non-physical, how they influence our physical reality. All right. So that concludes today's reading. This was short. We only had 3 pages today. But the big takeaway is that we are not meant to be possessed by our possessions, right? There's nothing wrong with possessions unless we are possessed by them, right? Some of us are too attached to logo and designer clothes and the type of car that we drive and the house that we live in. Now, do I want you to be comfortable and love the house that you're in and love the car? Yes, but it's your relationship to it. Are you a slave to it, right? Is it so important to you that if it got taken away, one, you wouldn't feel that you had the ability to recreate it, or that part of your identity would go with it? You've attached yourself so much to this particular image and identity that if you lost those things, right, if you were asked to release them by God, right, that part of your identity would go because you've over-identified with the thing. You don't just see it as a thing, as an experience that you were meant to have and supposed to have and enjoy. And so now you lost it, and now you feel you've lost a part of yourself. Could you feel comfortable going from driving a Bentley to a Honda and who you are not change? Could you feel comfortable going from a mansion to a tiny house and your identity not change? Could you go from Gucci to Hanes and your identity not change? That's what it means by being possessed by your possessions. And so we must release, we must explore. I want you to take inventory of, are there any possessions that I'm overly attached to? Another way to think about that, family, is if there was a fire in your house and you had 2 minutes to grab the things that were important to you, what would you grab? Let's say there was no insurance on the house, okay? You weren't going to get any money or anything like that. What would you grab? When I think about what's in my house, I'd grab some important documents. I'd grab family photos. After that, I'd grab some articles of clothing that I just know, not because I paid a lot for them, but they just fit me so well. Like this happens to be one of my favorite shirts, right? And I don't know where I could ever get it again. It's not like it's in a store and I could just go get it on Amazon.com. So I'd grab some things like that. And beyond that, everything else can go. Everything else can be gotten back again. So I want you to take inventory. I want you to take inventory of the things that you possess and ask yourself, is this thing really possessing me? If I lost this thing, would part of my identity go with it? And if so, then I need to change my relationship to this thing. Okay?
All right. This concludes day 27. Day 27 is officially in the books. What are your takeaways? I'm not really going to discuss any takeaways that I had. Julian hit it dead on the head. We're not meant to be possessed by our possessions. I don't know if that's going to be your takeaway or not. If you saw something else in the reading, by all means, make sure you document it in the description section of the post, in the comment section. We definitely want to hear what your takeaways are. But we are not meant to be possessed by our possessions. Also, I want to leave you guys with a little homework. I like what Julian said there at the end. If there was a fire and you had to get 2 things out of your home and take them with you, what would be those 2 things? And once you grab those 2 things, determine if they are your possessions or do those possessions possess you. I know one thing I would grab would be my laptop. I don't think my laptop possesses me. I have a balance there, but that is something that could move me forward. in my next life, if I lost everything in a fire, I would definitely make sure I at least grab my laptop and maybe some pictures. I haven't even got to part two because there's not a lot of possessions that I deem important. So my laptop is definitely one, and maybe the jump drives for my laptop. That's it. So homework for you guys this weekend: identify 2 items. If your house was in a fire, what would those 2 items be? And determine if they possess you or do you actually possess those possessions. Make sure you comment in the description section what are your takeaways. If you don't have the book, click the link in the description section and go ahead and get you a book, man. Rich and Righteous. This completes day 27 for the reading of the Rich and Righteous, our first part of money commandment number 6, how the rich and righteous hold money. And we will start up next week with a new reading. Enjoy your weekend. Salute.